Hello, everyone, and welcome to part 3 of this week's Look Finance SEQFC Preview Show with thanks to Vilic Law. I'm Darren Lutton, and we've got our 2 regulars with us this week. It's Mark Madge and Brett Budwee. How are we going, gentlemen?
Not bad, Darren. How are you?
Excellent. Good to hear. And our special guest this week is from the Burleigh Bulldogs. It's Matt Hilton. Matt, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good stuff. Now, the Bulldogs, they're on fire. Is it 4 in a row now?
Yes, 4 in a row. It's taken a while, but I think we're starting to gel as a team again now, so which is obviously always good going to the final stage of the year. So obviously you've got another big game this weekend against Rabina, who are still picking up points as well. So obviously this makes it a little bigger than we would have liked to think, but it is what it is. So we'll just take it week by week as we have been. So
plenty of cliches in that statement.
Yeah.
Now, Mark had a theory when we first started doing these shows as to why you got off to a slow start. Let's see if they correlate. What's your theory as to why things got off so poorly?
Obviously, COVID had something to play with it, obviously, as did every other team. But the biggest thing was from a starting team we had last year, we lost 5 or 6 starting players. So that's obviously going to make it a little bit harder to get the ball rolling again. And there was a few people playing out of position this year. We're trying to slot in to fill those gaps that were left from the year before. So it was a little bit difficult to start, but I think we all stuck together. We had a few people leave, 6-7 weeks ago who didn't want to be there. And since then, we sort of kicked into gear and everyone stuck together and everyone's been pretty much fighting week in, week out. And it goes to show everyone puts in a bit of hard work, you get the results. So definitely down to the loss of players was the biggest part. So, yeah.
And what do you put the turnaround to?
Probably would be the Broadbeach result where we just got over the line. I think we scored in the last 2-3 minutes. We probably did deserve to win the game, but we made it hard for ourselves. We conceded a penalty, probably 10 to go. So we had our backs against the wall and we pulled out, a good player in our team attacking Felipe, who once again, come up with the goods and finished a good shot, right, probably 5 minutes to go, and we got the result. And then since then, it's, everyone's started to chip in and work hard, and it's been good.
Very good. All right, now we'll come back to the competition a little bit later, but I'd like to start this week with the Coast League. Mark.
Yep.
They've gone up.
Done. Done job for both Kingscliff and Musgrave. They're coming up to the Premier League next year, so I'm sure welcomed additions getting us to our 10-team comp. Musgrave actually had the bye last week and still got promoted because results went their way. So they were officially the first team promoted, Kingscliff having the later kickoff, but then they got the job done as well. So it's good. It's good for our league to have another Southern team back. Kingscliff, again, we had Ross here, new clubhouse, new facilities. I'm sure they got good sponsorship behind them, which I'm expecting a good team from down south. And then Musgrave haven't been there since 2012 when they got relegated when we had the realignment of the divisions. But, they've had a lot of success in the Premier League early on. And then I'm sure in the mid-2000s they had some names that are both known, obviously, to Brett and Matt, with Paddy Cronin and Norrie were playing for them back in the day. So I'm sure they'll come good eventually. Great additions for our league. And we finally get back to 10 teams and 2 rounds, which is obviously the big one. Everyone hates the 3 rounds from what we gather because, it's sometimes an unfair advantage having to go to Burleigh twice in a season or go to Palm Beach at a 6 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday evening twice in a year. So, a great again. And that playoff spot again, that's that last spot. That is completely thrown open now, apart from the midweek results in Coast League. We've got Runaway Bay sitting there for now, and that's a team full of 16 to 17-year-olds. They did not expect to be in this position. I actually spoke to someone from the club, after the results on Tuesday from the Coast League. They didn't expect to be in this position. So I think they might find it a bit difficult in that playoff, which at the moment is Broadbeach. I think they might find it difficult, but overall, I'm sure we're in for a fitting end to the season.
Brett, I sent Ross a text message once they got promoted, just congratulating him. And he gave me a bit of a lengthy reply for a text message, but the big word that stuck out was relief. With your coaching experience, when your team is successful, is that your overriding emotion?
Yeah, undoubtedly, mate. Especially a lot of the time, when you're down the bottom. I was at Magic for a few years when I first started. We're down the bottom of the league, and you feel like you've got the weight of the club on your shoulders, so to speak. And to get 3 points sometimes in that situation, it's just all relief. You sit up till 2-3 o'clock in the morning, your brain ticking over. As a player, you get physically tired during a game, so it's easier to unwind. But as a coach, there's no physical demand, so it's a lot of emotional stuff that goes on in your head. And you're right, a lot of it is relief, the overriding joy.
So how do you get to sleep at night? Chamomile tea, is that your style?
Just watch reruns of Man City, Darren.
Here we go.
Not that puts me to sleep, but eventually.
That's what I was just about to say. Does that bore you, Butters, does it?
It's funny, but if I lose, I can't watch any soccer. I just watch netball, basketball, whatever. I can't watch soccer.
Mark, with the Coast League now, what's left to play for with the remaining weeks?
So there's 2 games to go. There's this weekend and next weekend. Now, the important fixture this weekend is the Runaway Bay Tweed fixture. Tweed 2 points behind. If they can get a win, they'll go into the 3rd spot temporarily, but they will have to rely now on results going their way because they had the bye in the last game. Runaway Bay have, obviously that Tweed game is the one they want to win. If they get that job done, they'll be in because they have Kingscliff in the last game. Now, everything's shaping up. Kingscliff played Musgrave this week. Kingscliff win that game, they win the title. Musgrave win that game, they go ahead going into the final week. So there's all to play for. Speaking to Ross as well, I did say to him, if you do win the league this week, would you consider running out a Metro team next week? He said no, because then the motivation will be to go undefeated. So it's all everywhere at the moment. Again, that Runaway Bay Tweed fixture is the one to watch. If Runaway Bay get the job done there, I think they'll be good to go. But again, anything can happen in these leagues. It's Saturday afternoon is a nightmare for me personally in media perspective, because you're chasing results. People are texting you, who's scoring, all the rest of it. And if Coast League goes down to the final week, as is the Premier League goes down to the final week, we could be sitting in Nerang here waiting on live results from Coomera versus Surface and most likely Palm Beach versus Robina. So, that's the fun part of this season. So, again, big games coming up for everyone.
Tweed Heads missed a big opportunity midweek, didn't they, Mark? They had a draw with Pack Pines.
Pack Pines, they were up 2-0 and they had a draw with Pack Pines. And then over the weekend, they lost 7-1 to Mudrabar. Mudrabar just, out of nowhere, have just started winning these games quite comfortably. And that's a big turnaround for a team that was getting lost 10-0 in the first game of the season. Tweed beat them, I think, 6-0 in their first game to turn around and win 7-1. Pretty unheard of in a competition like Coast League or anything like that. They must be doing something right. I'm sure they are. Those young players are coming through. Maybe a little too late, but they're still actually in the mix. If they win their last 2 games and results go their way, they could be in the playoff spot. Again, I'm going to give our Premier League raps. I don't know if the 3rd place can beat the 8th spot, whoever it is. Probably going to eat my words, and everyone's going to say, we told you. But, it should be an interesting run-in.
Yeah, when you put it in those terms, it looks like it's going to be a fascinating week. We'll have to really focus on it next week's show and just see what's left for us.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Mark, again, genius. We asked you for a prediction last week with the Coomera Palm Beach game. You predicted it all. 0-0 was the result.
Yeah. Unheard of in Gold Coast Premier League, a 0-0 draw. Like I said, anyone who keeps a clean sheet should get an extra point in the Gold Coast, let alone both teams keeping a clean sheet in the same game. I think looking back, I'm going to throw it out there. Looking back, I think in the last 10 years, we maybe had 5 0-0 draws. So it's a very rare result. Again, we weren't at the game, which is, I know Brett was a bit disappointed. I got a message after the game about that one. We filmed the earlier 3 o'clock kickoff and the 6 o'clock kickoff. 7 o'clock at Coomera was a bit of a stretch for our filming crew. We'll just leave it at that. But no, from what all accounts, I'm sure Brett will be able to add more, but it seemed like a pretty physical game, pretty tight game between both teams, both having opportunities. But again, players stepping up big, cancelling out the better players from both teams by the sounds of it. But I'll be pretty, Brett will tell us now, I'm sure, but going into the game, if you looked at the game, weeks in advance, you'd probably take a point from Coomera on a Saturday night. So I'll let Brett add a bit more, I guess, on that fixture.
Yeah, mate, to us, we couldn't afford to lose that game up there against Coomera. It would have put us right behind the 8 ball. Obviously, we would have preferred to win, but it was a finals type game. It was very physical from the outset. We sort of bought into that physicality, which I didn't really like, and then we stood up. We kept our head. No one got sent off. Oh, actually, someone got sent off late, but it was for a bicycle kick. It wasn't for an aggressive tackle or anything. But no, look, both teams, like Mark said, cut out each other's threats, and it was a bit cagey. They had a million set pieces on we had to defend long throws, Mark, corners, everything.
The long throw.
Yeah, we were just lucky that Enrique wasn't playing, because he would have put one of them away, I'm sure. And just on Enrique, I've met him for the first time on Saturday night. He's a champion bloke, really, really nice guy, getting photos with the Palm Beach kids and that. So, I can't speak highly enough about Enrique anyway.
Very good. So no goals in that game. All those goals were scored in the Burleigh match. 5-4 over Nerang. Matt, tell us about that game.
Well, it was a bit of a slow start. Obviously, we got the first goal, but after that, we had a little bit of a nap and found ourselves 2-1 behind at half time. Didn't really change too much at half time, apart from a bit of a spray from Vilic, but we came out with different attitude, and I think we got 3 goals in 15 minutes. Got to the 5-2 up, and then we had Matt Noble sent off, which was pretty harsh. There was a bit of a stoppage in play, and then I think everyone can see what happened. The Nerang bench or talked the linesman into giving a second yellow card where it was a 50-50 challenge, but the ref ended up sending him off, and then we made a few changes to try and rest a few injuries. And then, like the week before against Coomera, they came back 10 minutes ago, got 2 quick goals and put us under pressure, and almost conceding another goal late, but we held on for the 5-4 win, which we definitely deserved, but it was a bit closer than we would have liked. But 3 points is 3 points at this stage of the season. We'll take.
Fellows, one of the most revered coaches on the Gold Coast. Tell us a little bit about him. What makes him so special?
I don't know. He just gets along well with all the players. He gets the best out of everyone. Obviously, he's pretty hard to understand sometimes, but if you've been around him long enough, you get to know what he's saying. I've known him for a long time. I get along with him really well. He just lets me go out and do what I want to do. Not like want to do, but have to do to get the job done. And he does. It's the same with everyone else. He just tells you what needs to be done, and just easy to get along with, and gets his word across.
All right. Now with Coomera and Palm Beach drawing, that was provided the opportunity for Surfers Paradise to move ahead, and they did so, Mark, with a 5-0 battering of Broadbeach.
That was the first time I've seen Broadbeach not be in a game and put up a bit of resilience against any team. Their results as bottom of the table have shown that they're no joke. They defend fantastically well. But that performance, I've been, Broadbeach is a great place to go watch a game of football, and the late kickoffs and the rest of it's married up that I've actually watched quite a few of their games. And that game there was probably one of their weakest and worst games of the year that they played. I think Andy Robinson said that in his post-match interview as well. They didn't play well. And Surfers were on a bit of a high. They didn't know the Palm Beach result because the game kicked off later. They just wanted to keep putting pressure on, from what I gather. And they came out and got an early goal. And then from then on, put it basically into a bit of a cruise control. They welcomed back Teddy Watson from last week's win. Bruno Rodriguez, their captain, comes back in. So they got a bit of a spark from them. And again, the highlights, I don't know if anyone's seen them. They could have maybe scored a few more goals if it was the right night for them. So, I think everyone, regardless of what happened, with the Palm Beach result. Surfers needed that win to be into that one-game position, regardless of what that Palm Beach result. Now they're in top, so they go into the game, as a top seed per se. But yeah, overall, deserved victory, I think, by quite a comfortable victory for Surfers there.
Of course, the other result on the weekend was Robina 3, Southport 1. But let's move on to this weekend's results. This weekend's fixtures. So,
let's give him a little. Look, Robina's done well. They got Brendan Reeves in. I'll just give him. We filmed that game, so we'll give him a bit of a rap. They played well for for 90 minutes. Routine performance. Southport had a man sent off for a late challenge on the goalkeeper, which is pricey. He's played in our league for quite a while. Not a malicious guy, so it was one of those accidental things, but he did catch him, got a straight red, and Robina took care of business. Southport still created chances with 10 men. Could have put more pressure in the late, missed an open goal there. But again, a couple of injury worries, I think, for them moving into the back end of the season. But Robina, as Matt said, still getting some points and still putting pressure on a top 4 spot heading into the last 4 games.
So let's look at this weekend's fixtures. We've got Nerang up against Broadbeach.
Derby time. Again, Broadbeach will remember that last kick winner that Nerang scored against them at Broadbeach. It feels like at this part of the year that the sting that was in that first game, I don't know if it's going to be there for this second game. Nerang now obviously 6 points behind Burleigh. This is a guaranteed must-win for them. I still think maybe Broadbeach have a bit more to play for in this game. A positive result here for them, and if things go their way with the Southport fixture on Sunday, could leave them within 1 win of overtaking Southport for 7th spot. Just a bit more motivation there. Not saying Nerang won't be motivated for that game. They will, of course. Again, playing at Nerang will have its benefit for them. I think the way they finished against Burleigh, by the sounds of things, they might take a bit of confidence from that moving forward into this game. And get the job done. But by all means, I think Broadbeach will tighten up after last week's game against Surfers and will make it tough for them on the day.
I'm predicting some red cards in that game, guys.
I agree.
I'll go the opposite and say no reds. I'll go the opposite. I'll go that there's too much transition of players in Nerang especially. A lot of their Broadbeach boys have moved over and now injured out for the year and all the rest of it. So I think those new boys might not really have that same flair. So I'll go with no red cards in that one.
All right.
Just a bit different.
Yeah.
All right. And the other match being played at the same time, Brett, top of the table, Surfers Paradise, Palm Beach. How do you see it going?
Look, I think it'll be a bit like last week. Tell you the truth, a little bit cagey. The field is a little bit bumpy, which is the same as Coomera, so it stymies the flow of the game a little bit. But yeah, look, I expect it to go down to the wire, 90th minute. We prepared well Tuesday. We'll have another session tonight. I sort of know how Alex plays. I've worked with him before. He knows how I play. So look, I hope that the game was on Sunday. I would have liked to have seen that game as match of the round, so people could have come and watched and could have played in front of a decent crowd. But we'll be going out there as if it's a final for us. Every game's a final now to the end of the year.
Why would people not go on Saturday?
Because there's other games on at that time, or around that time. You know what I mean? So,
okay.
Yeah.
So the Nerang Broadbeach game. So people from that game would otherwise come. Would they?
Well, not even that. Burleigh's a later kickoff, so their people wouldn't be going.
That would be way as well.
Game and so on and so forth. So it's a tough one, and yeah.
Okay. So on that, Matt, you're taking on Robina. How do you see that one panning out?
Obviously, we're going to make an adjustment to the midfield with obviously Matt Noble being suspended, but I'm sure whoever comes in will do the job. Obviously, as I said earlier, it's a massive game. We get the result we want, puts us in a really good position of, getting that 4th spot, if not 3rd spot. We're just got to go out and do the job. But everyone's been showing up to training Tuesday, Thursday, hoping to get Fez back, but he still might be another week or 2 off. His game time decision. But other than that, I think the boys will be ready to go. Hopefully make it 5 in a row.
Matt, you must be happy that Darren, that Machi's back up next to you.
Yes, definitely. So obviously it was sad to see Uto go back to Japan. but bringing Muchi back in obviously adds another dimension up top. Obviously, this will be my 3rd year playing with him now. I think we're pretty good chemistry when it comes to the final third. And as you saw last week, the result, I think he got player of the round. He got 2 goals and an assist, but it wasn't just the goals and assists, it was your presence up there. And then obviously makes the other defenders, think a bit more how we're going to, get that goal, or is he going to come through the middle or that wide? So it's obviously, I love playing with him. It's good to have him back, and hopefully he continues his form. So in the last 4 games, going to the finals.
With the results that you're on at the moment with this run, does it have the same feel as previous seasons in the change room?
Probably the last 3 weeks. The game against Southport, where obviously it was a pretty tight first half. I mean, we were leading 1-0 at half time. Came out the second half. We all know we needed to lift another gear or 2. I think we scored 3-4 goals really quickly in the second half. But the goals, a few of them were actually well lead. What can you say? Good lead-up play. Had Uto on the ball a lot, who I think probably was the man to match that game. He had 2 or 3 assists as well, getting a couple on the score sheet. But yeah, that game definitely felt playing ability-wise as the year before. But yeah, after that game in the change room, it's definitely been getting better each week. Everyone's a lot happier. There's been a bit more noise as well. So I think things are looking up.
And the final game on Sunday, match of the round, is Southport up against Coomera. Mark, what do you see happening there?
I'll rephrase, not match of the round. We just changed. Everyone has to host a certain amount of Sundays. So that's the policy behind the Sunday kickoffs. I'd like to just address that nice and quickly. Not that it might be the best match of the weekend. Who knows? But look, Coomera are in a position now. They have to sort of look at Burleigh coming behind them. They might be in a position in a couple of weeks' time where they're in the middle, sort of that pack. They maybe can't drop lower than 3rd, but if Burleigh keeps applying the pressure, it could go down right to the wire, and they might not be able to catch the top 2. So, it might take them a bit of time to get up for it. They've had a string of draws. So although they haven't been beaten, they've dropped points, each and every week. Sometimes, 3 consecutive draws, you might as well, lose 2 of the games and win 1. So there's no, get that flow going. Southport, again, it's a lot of injuries, a lot of toll. Pressure's starting to mount a little bit on players having to come in. Again, they might not have played that much first grade because of that good run they had in the first round. So they're constantly having to make adjustments as they go. They'll welcome, obviously, Scott Semple, their keeper, back in, and also obviously Gavin Wales, who got sent off against Palm Beach. So some players coming back, but again, Elliot Middleton pulled up with his hamstring after the Robina game. He might be out. Not sure of his extent of his injury, and obviously the send-off. So I think they'll find it tough on Sunday. I think Coomera will have enough in the tank to get the job done, and I think that Burleigh's result on Saturday might force Coomera and start and get 3 points to ensure they stay in that 3rd place. But we're in for an exciting end to the season, and that's for sure. Speaking about the Burleigh game, I think I've said it to Brett and I've said it to Alex. The game against Palm Beach Surfers, my thoughts on it, I actually don't think that will be the critical game for the league, as stupid as it sounds. I actually think the games against Burleigh will dictate who ends up winning it at the end. Burleigh have to go to Palm Beach and they have to go to Surfers. But the way they're playing, and we all know what a team looks like for Philo. It's all about momentum. They have quality players all over the park. They always have, as Matt said, getting the other boys in who are new to the team and making them click into gear. They've clicked into gear now. So those games are tough games. They're going to be the ones for me that dictate who ends up taking top spot. And again, they're chasing that 3rd spot as well. So it's not like they're locked in the 4 and just going through the motions. So, we're in for a very exciting end to the season, that's for sure.
And Matt, you guys must be just all excited knowing that you've got the power. You'll be the kingmakers. You'll determine who wins the league.
Well, it's definitely good being in this position. Everyone we're looking over the shoulders, looking at who's coming up behind us. Pretty much the whole, I think it was 6 games, we were sitting second last. And when we went into the Broad Beach game, it was basically a relegation battle at the time. So if we didn't get that result, things could be totally different. We might not be sitting where we are now. So it's definitely feels a lot better being where we are now, I must say.
I don't think anyone wants to see Burleigh in the finals, put it that way. I want to say it right now. I don't think anyone who finishes first or second don't want to see them in the finals personally. But there's my 2 cents.
I think the best thing was, sorry, Brett, I think the best thing was everyone pretty much was writing us off when we were on the 4 points after 6 games. So I think that, kicked in at Burleigh, and I think obviously that's helped us get to the next level as well. So that's been a bit of a blessing in disguise, but we like to hear that. Here you go, Brett. Sorry, mate.
I was going to say I'd be happy if they weren't in the 4 mark.
Still time.
Yeah, I think they'll come home good. I think it'll be Burleigh in the 4th spot.
4th?
4th or
no 3rd?
I think Coomera got quality players. You know what I mean? They're going to win a couple of games anyway.
You hope they surface in the last game, and that's what you're hoping for.
Yeah, right. No disrespect to Rabina, but I'd rather be playing Rabina at Palm Beach than having to go up to Coomera and play up there on the last game of the year.
Definitely.
And on that note, we might call an end to proceedings today. Thank you, Matt, for your participation today. Great to have you with us.
Yep.
And my usual panel, Brett and Mark. Thank you again.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Should be great fixtures. Of course, check out all your Facebook pages and the Gold Coast Football Gold Coast page, and of course SEQFC for all the results and insights. Just before we go, Michael Thwaite. Did you see the video? Brett, you're the one that shared it with me. Just so funny. Go to our page. I think Coomera have shared it as well. Look for this video of Michael Thwaite on holidays, and if it doesn't put a smile on your face, you're made of stone.
He's an absolute champion, Michael Thwaite. Like I said before, he's a great advocate for not taking life too serious and enjoying every moment, and he's a great guy.
There we go. There's your homework. All right, we'll see you all next week. This is the Look Finance SEQFC Preview Show with thanks to Vilic Law.
Yeah.
Thank you.